We should not have to have plans to go out to relaxation centers. We can easily relax in our homes, because going out to those places with all those threats, uncovering those threats, and even plans to bomb such places. We've seen where festive periods, where places like that people are kidnapped, and we've seen places like that people are even bombed, people died as a result of going out to relax. So something needs to be done, and people need to be conscious, because with these plans coming forth, it's coming ahead of the celebration, so people should need to be cognizant and be very careful. We need to take our security and our safety to be very important. We still have people in the den of kidnappers. Just about the Kaduna Abuja train attack, today is making it the 30th day, and we've seen pictures where they released pictures of men, of women, and even of children that are in the den of these kidnappers. So you know that these people are serious, and with these people being serious, we also need to take our safety and our security very seriously.
You know, Tosi, it's really a sad one, just like you said. But I just, one thing I just want to add up is the fact that I think this might be a form of distraction. They might actually be having plans to bomb other places outside the worship center. But I think that this will now be on the part of the DSS, the part of the army, the police, to make sure that they are very, very vigilant. Because the same thing, just like you rightly stated about the Kaduna, Abuja victims that are in captivity, there was a warning that they're going to attack such. And then I think we treated that that warning with levity. We just felt that it was just another threat coming from them. But each time they send a threat, they make sure that they actualize it at the end of the day. So I think this should be a time we should make sure they check the vicinity of all worship centers, regardless of whether there's a celebration or not. All security agencies are supposed to be on deck. They should make sure that they keep their fingers crossed and make sure that every other place is checked, whether it's the marketplaces, whether it's people's houses, whether it's at the worship center, the railway, the air, everywhere should be checked. No place should be left uncovered, because at the end of the day, they actually take advantage while the attention of the security is on the worship center. They end up bumping another different places. We've heard of where they do all those train bumping and all that. So I just hope and I believe that we'll actually take this threats very serious and not treat it with just another liberty as we used to. Well, let's take a look at the next paper, which is the Voice of Liberty. And on 2023, all political appointees must resign in 5 days or forget the primaries. This is coming from the new APC guidelines, and we know this is in relation to the Electoral Act, Section 84, subsection 12, that said anybody that is in office cannot actually contest for any office. So whether you're an appointee or you're serving, so the APC have taken that step to say that anyone that is holding a political appointee should resign in 5 days. Other stories still on the Voice of Liberty. Food production, we made progress shutting borders. This is coming from Buhari. Africans lost $100 billion to Russia-Ukraine war. This is coming from Additional, the governor of the African Development Bank. And on 2023, Jonathan is APC's Trump card, says the Southern Group. Terrorists released pictures of the adopted Abuja-Kaduna-born train passengers. And on the Salah, DSS raises alarm over alleged plan by criminal gang to bomb the worship centers, public places nationwide. The Department of the State Service, DSS, have raised alarm over an alleged plot by suspected criminal gangs to forge an alliance among themselves, with a view to launch attacks on critical infrastructure and other frequently public places during the public holidays and the Salah celebrations. I will appoint you president if I had the power, Bakafe tells Wiki. Nigeria never so divided, seeing inflation so high. This is coming from Amachire. And on insecurity, Buhari's praise singer Kahutu Rarara turns against him. And the last story here, Kaduna train terror attack victims count down 30 days in captivity. And just like we said, we're truly hoping that the government will do something. Looking at the pictures, and and we always raise the point that with the SIM registration, with all the intelligence we are having, it's alarming that still we're having these hoodlums, or let me just call them for who they are, terrorists, having the guts to send pictures, and we even have the hard copies to have them on our papers, showing the pictures of men, women that have been held in captivity. I just hope that we'll do something about it. Let us not just say it's another ploy, at the end of the day, it will be left with various families to look for a way that they will rescue their family. when one life is lost, it's a loss to all of us in Nigeria, because we're supposed to hold each other accountable. And just like I always say this, when you're elected into office, your primary responsibility is to protect lives and property. When you fail at that, then that means you cannot do any other thing. And when we can't fix our security, then our educational sector, our economy, we're already having here the president of the African Development Bank raising an alarm that there will be food crisis. This is still as a result of the insecurity, because farmers cannot even go to their farms because of fear of their lives. And even when you go there, it's either we have cattle, causing havoc at the end of the day. So I'm just, trusting and I'm hoping that the federal government will arise to their responsibility, and also the military and every other person, the security agency, will come together and say what can they do, because they are still in Nigeria. It's not like they're outside the shores of Nigeria. And we have the intelligence to check every hook and cranny to be sure that they are being reunited with their families. So we're still hoping and keeping our fingers crossed that something will be done about this. And that's all on the Voice of Liberty.
And on New Telegraph newspaper on recession, federal government hails Nigerian startups 3 trillion naira futures, promises more investment-friendly policies. And on the 69.4 billion naira debts, court orders stay of contempt motion against AMCOM. And this can be found in page 3 on the New Telegraph newspaper. On 2023, power shift clamor without considering Southeast deceitful. This is from Uzo Kalu. We can't let down our odds yet. For federal government is talking about the COVID-19, says infections may flare up anytime. Bello pays 100 million naira APC nomination fee, picks from today for the presidency, and Zenith Bank emerges Nigerians' best at 2022 Global Finance Award. The big story says Northern Middle Belt youth petitions US and UK over insecurity in northern Nigeria. Wants town hall meeting convened by both governments on religious rights issues in the region. Generation Next asks US to return Nigeria to list of countries of particular concern. How flame out multiple engine banks cost United Air Peace serious incident. AIB releases report on 4 other aircraft. And on Russian-Ukraine war, African Development Bank floats $1.5 billion African Emergency Food Plan to avert crisis. This is from Femi Adesina. Terrorists plan to bomb vulnerable places. This is from the DSS, and joins managers of worship centers, parks, orders to employ security measures. Terrorists kill APC chieftain, others in Kaduna. A study here says organic produce harbors dangerous bacteria, and this study can be found in page 26 of the New Telegraph newspaper, and that's all.
Thank you, Tosin. Let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune. Jonathan posters with APC logo at Dome Northern cities with the writer, "I will support Jonathan if APC present him." This is coming from Ayade. "My allegiance is to oaths I took, not to anyone." This is coming from the Vice President, Usibanjo. And we have terrorists release fresh pictures of adopted trained passengers, and detail of that can be found on page 27. We can see picture of the loved ones. You can imagine the pain the wives and the children will be going through, but we are hoping that the government will do something about that. And the African Development Bank support will help Nigeria to produce 9.5 million tons of food. This coming from Femi Additional, said Kanu, Ogun, Oyo, and 4 others to benefit. Detail of that can be found on page 8. And the big story, DSS alleges plan to bomb worship relaxation centers. Detail of that can be found on page 26. 50 cops given mass burial after Imo and illegal refinery explosion. Detail can be found on page 27. 2 Fiat killed in Ibadan as park managers transporters clash. Bello pays 100 million naira nomination fee to pick the APC form tomorrow, which is today. And we have the Zenith Bank retained position as Nigeria's best in global finance, Best Banks 2022. At inauguration of 2 bus terminals in Ibadan, Obaseki comments Makinde says governance should be to empower the masses. And we have why we build the bus terminal. This is coming from the governor, Makinde. And we can see a picture story over there. And to know more about any story that is of interest to you, you can get the Nigerian Tribune and read any story that is of interest to you.
And on this day newspaper, Zenith sustains position as Nigeria's best bank for 3 consecutive years in Global Finance Award. Nigeria UK holds talk to boost 3.2 billion euro bilateral trade relations. Details in page 11. And DSS raises the alarm over plots to bomb worship places, public infrastructure. Pregnant woman abducted in Kaduna-bound train delivers in captivity. Terrorists release new photos of over 62 kidnapped passengers. Insist on freedom for apprehended commanders. Oshibanjo says, I have decided to run. I owe no one else any allegiance. Says oath sworn only to Nigeria. Boost, he will hit the ground running, and he eminently qualified to be president, declares Abiodun. May you come back to my palace as president, Alake prays. After all I have learnt, if called upon to serve the nation, shall I say no? I have decided that I will run for the office. I have sworn an oath to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is an oath to our people, our children, and the future of Nigeria. I owe nobody else any allegiance outside the oath. And now, as regards what the vice president have been saying since yesterday, we'll see that his stories have been coming like often on our papers concerning his decision to run as president. It's not a bad decision. Everyone has the right to come out for such position. But I keep on saying we still have our loved ones that are still in the den of the kidnappers. Just the Kaduna-Abuja train captives. This is the 30th day they are in this place. No one is talking about this. Just over the weekend where the nomination form for APC presidential candidate was 100 million. The next day we had where someone came and paid that amount. A businessman from Zamfara paid 100 million just the next day for Tinubu. He picked the 100 million naira form for Tinubu. In a country where we say there is no money to look into ASU. In a country where we say there is no money to look into the security, the security to even help them to up their game. Even in going for this intelligence seminar. Securities are saying they don't even have the equipment to even the machineries to even fight this insurgency group. And now we are seeing that this form is 100 million, and we're seeing people that are aspiring for this position getting this form. How? They will say someone supported me. But those people who are supporting, can't they be of help to people, all these people that have been kidnapped? Money ransom is being demanded. We see of people where amount of money like this is being demanded, and how do you expect people to get this money? You see people their sole business is just to farm. When they are kidnapped, this huge amount of money is demanded from them, and nothing is being said. Like for this Kaduna-Abuja train attack, up to date, those people that are even that are in charge of the train station in Kaduna State, they've not said anything. Even the governor is not saying anything concerning this. So the families are left to mourn their loved ones. They are left to run around to get funds for their loved ones, and we see that they are just concerned. Like the present administration now, they're just concerned about the forthcoming election. You see that all our papers, like all that is coming up on our paper is just election on how they can win, how they can zone election. No one is talking about these people, and that's why these banditry people are having an edge, because releasing pictures and even sending it to people, you can imagine the kind of hurt that it will place on the life of their loved ones. Seeing your loved one in a place that you don't have the power to go after them, you don't have the power to release them, and everyday money is being demanded. Just yesterday we saw where in Abuja, where the bandits left their motorcycles. They will leave it because they have the access to collect funds funds from other people. They have access to demand for all these things from other people. Like we're in a country where the bandits are living their lives and the politicians are living their lives, and you say the people should not link their act to that of the banditry. We need to do something about this thing because people are really wallowing. So many questions need to be asked. Now we see that the government is saying Kuka is the one in behind the issue why the Tucano jet was not released. What about the other Tucano's jets we had? Have it fight the issue of insecurity in our country? Is it Kuka that is the one behind the issue where people don't have access to go to Kaduna State any longer, even by road, by air, or even by train? You can't go to Kaduna State. It has become a war zone. People are dying on a daily basis. We just read on our paper where a chieftain was killed in Kaduna State, and we have so many loved ones that have been killed in Kaduna State, a state that was known for peace, but now has become a war zone where people just die helter skelter. People live with one eye open, one eye closed. People sleep at night. People cannot sleep because of what is happening, not just in Kaduna State, in the 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. We see the issue of insecurity is taking charge, and our politicians and those that are supposed to look into this, they're not worried. All they're after is just the election. It's just the election. Just looking out for how they can campaign, give out, go to places, donate money. What about those monies we are donating? Can those money be used? I've not seen someone coming out to say, okay, I want to come out for presidency and I want to use this money to look for how we can fight this insecurity and bring back these people. No one is saying anything about these people. Is it that their lives have been they have now used as like a sacrifice to those people? Something needs to be done about this. I need to see someone coming out to say, these are loved ones that are in this den of kidnappers. Something needs to be done. We need to track them. We have the means to track these people. We have the name-same linkage. Why can't we use it to track them? When we came up with our name-same linkage was that we can track insecurity, we can track thefts. We use it to track people stolen phones. Why can't we use it to track these people? Even if they have different SIMs, they have registered those SIMs because those over 72 billion SIMs that were not registered were blocked. So if their SIMs were blocked, they will not have access to even send pictures across to the government. So we need to track these people. We need to see more proactive measures being done in bringing these people back. Something needs to be done. We can't sit down, fold our arms, and see our loved ones are wallowing in pain. You don't even know about you don't even know about the whereabouts of your loved ones, and pictures will just come up and say this is where your loved one is, and money are being demanded, and the government who are supposed to do something about it are quiet, and they say if you pay ransom, you go for 15 years jail term. So you should fold your hands and see your loved ones going through all these things. We need to do something about this.
Yeah, Tosi, I totally agree with you, and I think this is where we really need to have, just like we have APC convention, PDP convention, we also need to have the People's Convention. We need to sit down and discuss critical matters that concerns us. There are questions that need to be answered, and just like I always say, the government can't be everywhere, and that's why we have the security agency. I know individually, we, Kate, some of these top politicians have actually, they're giving some money to these various states that have been affected. And I think it's left to the state to look at what can we use this money to do. If we are to use it to possibly for people in the IDPs or people who are in captivity, what can we do? We should think critically and see what can we use this money to do. Because it's very important that we bring back these people, just like I said, even if it's just one life that is lost, it's a loss to the entire nation entirely. So we're still keeping our fingers crossed, and we are hoping that the government will rise up to its responsibility. We are not saying they are not doing it, they are trying their best, but we need more proactive measures to be taken by them. We need more to be done by them.
That's all on the This Day newspaper.
Okay, let's take a look at the Daily Independent newspaper. Governors ask court to stop the $480 million Paris Club debt deduction. And on 2023, Abiodun abandons Tinubu, throws weight behind Osibanjo, are more experienced than him, Anichi tells Abiodun and others. And the big story here, criminal gangs planning to bomb worship centers. This is coming from the DSS. Terrorists release new photos of the abducted train passengers. And on alleged assault, you must appear before Senate court orders CCT chairman, with the rider Umar heads for appeal court over judgment. Detail of that story can be found on page 7. And on the Russia-Ukraine war, African Development Bank earmarks $1.5 million for Nigeria and others emergency food plan. Zenith Bank retains position as Nigeria's best bank. Detail can be found on page 6. And the Supreme Court nullifies Andy Oba's participation in Anambra Guba poll. You can read more of that on page 6. And on farmer herders conflict, National Livestock Transformation Plan now in operation. With the rider 22 states interested, 10 already opened the NLTP office. This is coming from the presidency. 4 states have mapped out gathered grazing reserves. Other stories still on the Daily Independent. Buhari appointed Jaji Olula new CG for the Federal Fire Service. We actually congratulate him and we hope that he will look into that sector and do more. And on 2023, Ayade declares for presidency after consulting with Buhari. Detail of that can be found on page 6. And we also have a picture story here where we have the vice president and also with the traditional head, which is Alake of the Middle Belt, and Dapo Abiodun, governor of Ogun State, during the vice president consulting meeting with the Ogun stakeholders over his 2023 presidential ambition in Abeokuta, Ogun State on Tuesday, which was yesterday. To read detail of any of the story that is of interest, you can get the Daily Independent and read any story that is of interest here.
And on Blueprint newspaper, this DSS uncovers plot to bomb worship relaxation centers. Bandits kill APC ward chairman, steal 8 bikes, cattle in Kaduna. Chief security officers advocates foreign help. In 2023 presidency, which is making the big story on the Blueprint, Kalu quits, says Tinubu, Oshibanjo, Wike unfair to Igbo, urges APC PDP to zone tickets to Southeast. Malls return to Senate. Says if not yielded to Igbo, nothing unfair to have Buhari Daura produce flag bearer. Cleric 600 million naira waiver for Ayom. Yaya Bello picks EOL nomination form. Blueprint Awards will encourage me to do more, and this is coming from Fintiri. And on 2023, Akwa Ibom PDP to hold Guba primaries in Army Barracks. Kaduna train attack, abductors release photos, families identify captives, and the $418 million Paris Fund, Paris Club, 36 governors take Buhari, AGF, DMO to appeal court. Like MTN, Airtel Nigeria to operate agency banking. And 3 years on, Zenith Bank still Nigeria's best bank. Uproar as FCTA demolishes over 500 structures in Zamani village. Details can be found in page 7. And in Imo State, we haven't changed position on suspended CVR in Osu. And this is coming from INEC with details in page 16. We have few picture stories on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. Do well to visit to look out for stories that interest you.
And on the Nation newspaper, Zenith wins Nigerian's best award bank, is third in a row. Atiku, Wike, Saraki, 14 others face PDP panel on Friday. Detail can be found on page 3. Nigerians shown the 30 million dose of COVID-19 vaccines. Detail can be found on page 29. Governors seek halt to the $480 million Paris Club fee deduction. ASU frustrating negotiations, says the federal government, and how police copper crashed. Detail of that can be found on the Nation newspaper too. And on the big story, terrorists release photos of the 62 train attack hostages with the rider. Family members demand action from NSA, identify adopted relatives. And we have DSS warns of attack on worship center, relaxation joints and infrastructure. Buhari seek cooperation to end insecurity.
And the federal government shortlists 18 developers for Lagos, Ota, Abeokuta, Ilori, Jabe, 10 highways. Detail of that can be found on page 5. And that's all on the Nation newspaper. But before we look at other papers, we'd like to take a time out where we can open the phone lines for our callers so that you can call us and let us know what your views are concerning any of the story that is of interest to you. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after this time out. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, the program is from the Dailies, and we're looking at various stories that have been making the headlines from our Nigerian newspaper. I am Sele Elisha, and with me is Owolabi Tosin.
Thank you, Sele.
Yes, and I said the phone lines will be open, so please do call us and let us know what your views are concerning any of the story that is of interest to you.
On the Vanguard newspaper, Afe Babalola is saying while the AU may not be able to donate weapons and relief materials to Ukraine, it can play a role in world peace. In the interest of Africa, Nigeria must play an active role. And the son of Ogbomosho indigents faults delay in announcement of new monarch. Why we shut land borders for 2 years? This is coming from President Muhammadu Buhari, with details in page 4. And Zenith Bank retains position as Nigeria's best bank. Credit to government rises 22.5% to 16.3 trillion naira in first quarter 2022. Storm over plot to draft Jonathan as APC flag bearers, winning him to APC's admission of failure by Buhari. And this is coming from Ango Abdullahi. How APC stakeholders sold Jonathan to Buhari. Jonathan to serve one term, hand over to Vice President from Northeast. Two APC presidential aspirant Kicks says is insensitive and disastrous. He should present his credentials, but Tinubu supports groups. I'll support Jonathan if APC fields him. This is from Ben Ayade. And PDP leaders Autumn, McCarthy, Fayoshe, others speak with caution. Southern Group mobilizes for Jonathan. The picture story here, Vice President Oshibanjo meets Abiodun, and we can see Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibanjo and the Alake of Ebaland, Oba Adedotun, Badibo, and Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abiodun during the Vice President consultative meeting with the state stakeholders for his 2023 presidential ambition in Abeokuta. Still on 2023, Akume, Benue APC stakeholders serve Governor Autumn quit notice. Hashtag NSAS panel issues arrest warrant on police commissioners. And Nigeria has hope, Obaseki assures. Ogun will support your presidential ambition, Abiodun tells Oshibanjo. And still on insecurity, DSS warns of more bomb explosion in public places. Iowa Group accuses Governor Bagudu of plotting Jonathan's emergence as APC candidate. High unemployment rate cause of insecurity, says Peter Obi. And mortuary attendant nabbed for cutting off corpse head in Ogun. This is really sad, and details can be found in page 6. That's all on the Vanguard newspaper.
A look at the Daily Sun newspaper. 2023 gives Southeast presidential ticket, Kalu tells APC PDP. Said it's shocking the Southwest South-South aspirant in race against the Southeast. Detail can be found on page 26. And we have DSS alleges plan to bomb worship centers and public places, said criminal gangs forging alliance on terror attack. And also detail can be found on page 4. Anglican Church to federal government step up effort in tackling insecurity economic challenges. 36 governors pray court to stop the $480 million Paris Club debt deduction. Detail can be found on page 3. How I intend to fight corruption if elected. This is coming from Peter Obi. Give me Nigeria, I will restore it, says Governor Emmanuel. Well, just like we said, it's a time for politics, and we're going to hear all manner of manifestos. But one thing we are holding on is the fact that it's not just about words, because word is cheap. We want to see action being put to display. Then we'll know that really you're serious about whatever you say you have for Nigeria. And we have Zenith Bank retain position as Nigerians best in global finance. And the federal government stops striking varsity workers' salary. Labour spite fire, vows to resist stoppage. And detail of that can be found on page 6. INEC renew call for establishment of Electoral Offences Commission. Detail of that can be found on page 27. And the last story I'll be taking is assault court orders CCT Chairman Umar to appear before Senate probe panel. And detail of that can be found on page 4. That's all from the Daily Sun newspaper.
On the national economy, federal government commits 50 billion naira to position export-oriented businesses in Nigeria. The Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on Tuesday in Abuja said that the federal government had committed 50 billion naira towards positioning export-oriented businesses in Nigeria. Osinbajo said this at the two-day national conference on non-oil export organized by the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. The conference with the theme Exports for Survival, Optimizing Nigeria's Non-Oil Export Potential, providing a platform for stakeholders in the non-oil export sector to ventilate viewpoints on current and emerging issues affecting the sector. According to Osinbajo, the federal government is determined to enhance the competitiveness of our businesses within what is poised to become one of the largest regional single marketers in the world. This is why our Export Development Fund under the NEPC has committed 50 billion naira to help position export-oriented Nigerian businesses. This will enable them to play competitive within the growing regional market by providing access to capacity building programs as well as business grants, he said. And this story can be continued on page 4 of the national economy. Status change of illegal refineries, solution to oil theft. This is coming from an expert. And again, Zenith Bank wins Global Finance Best Bank Award. DBN disburses 482 billion naira to MSMEs. Buhari commends African Development Bank for being proactive to check food insecurity. CBN grants Airtel full super agent license, and details can be found in page 5 of the National Economy newspaper, and that's all on the paper.
Thank you, Tosin. Let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. SIM NIN 22 days after ban. Telcos lose 76 billion naira, subscribers stranded. Detail can be found on page 24. Reps summon Adebayo over MTN's alleged 2.6 trillion naira tax evasion. Economic crisis worsen as forex inflow fall by $9.58 billion. Clearing agent kick as custom reintroduce evaluation next week. And to read more about that, you can check page 18 of the Punch newspaper. 10 banks rank in 1.57 trillion naira interest income in 2021. This is a report. And to read more about that report, you can check page 24. And on the big story, which is on presidency, Obi scam protests as PDP dumps zoning screening begins Friday. With the rider, it will be injustice if the Southeast is denied PDP ticket, Obi's spokesman. Nigeria need a nationalist, not a religion. leader. This is coming from Atiku's aide. We can't stop any presidential aspirant. It's unconstitutional. This is coming from PDP. And Ogun Governor Abiodun declares support for Osinbajo presidential bid. And on the Super TV CEO, court stop bankers cross-examination. You can read more of that on page 10. Nigeria and others woefully lacking in COVID-19 vaccine administration. This is coming from the World Health Organization. Detail can be found on page 13. And the Ogun other stories here, we have Lagos Beatsman battles Oshun priest wife over 6 million naira diesel deal. And on the Imo explosion, relatives absent as victims get mass burial. And the last story I'll be taking here, Nigerian leads the first quarter oil production shortfall. World Bank cites sabotage. Detail can be found on page 19. And that's all from the Punch newspaper.
On Al Jazeera midweek, DSS issues alert on plot to bomb worship places and others. David Mark to chair PDP presidential screening committee, with details in page 26. And on Ukraine war, AFDB raises $1.5 billion for Africa emergency food plan. On an assault, court quashes CCT chairman's attempt to stop Senate's probe. And I'll run for presidency, Ayade tells Buhari. The big story on the $418 million Paris Club deduction states federal government role deepens as court hears suit today. States sue 43 defendants, lists 26 grounds for relief. At last, preferred bidder emerged for 12th highway concession. Details in page 24. And bread price may hit 1,000 naira in 2 weeks. This is coming from the baker chairman. On communal clash, Eza people demands apology from Umahi over troublesome tag. Details also can be found in page 11, and that's all on Al Jazeera midweek.
Let's take a look at the international business paper, which is the Business Standard. We have government bank loans to grow 33% in FY23 as subsidy bills rise. Government borrowing from banks, we can see the bar chart over there. You can read more about that. And we have the Tantulata ground police construction on definite protests. The MP says ensuring the playground for kids is not its concern. None will remain homeless in Bangladesh. This is coming from the PM. Other stories still on the Business Standard. Delhi supports such after U.S. sanction on the rap. This is coming from the Foreign Minister. 4 times higher cost proposed for traffic monitoring on Dhaka-Marwa Highway. And to read detail of any story, you can get the Business Standard and read more of the stories.
And on the Sporting Life, Man United top at 904 million euro. And Conte not in contact with PSG. Chelsea final 3 bidders to make one last pitch. And Barca set to compete with La Liga giants for Di Maria. Man City wary of getting into Rice transfer saga. Iwobi banks on Tofes spirit, while Napoli ready to sell Victor Osimhen. We failed to take our chance in the first half. This is coming from Fendi, and that's all on the Sporting Life paper.
Thank you, Tosin. The last paper we'll be taking for today is the Daily Trust newspaper. And we have the African Development Bank unveils $1.5 billion Africa Emergency Food Plan. Criminals collaborating to bomb worship centers and public places. This is coming from the DSS. And on APC ticket, 2 northern governors behind Jonathan's return bid, with the rider Ayade Miss Buhari says, "I'll step down for ex-president. We are waiting for final signal." This is coming from Bayelsa Elder. And lawyers differ on legal obstacle. And the picture story here is the Abuja Kaduna train attack. Terrorists release captives photo. And we also have other stories on the Daily Trust newspaper. So you can do well to get the Daily Trust newspaper and read any of the story that's of interest to you. And that is how far we can go on the program from the Dailies on Echo Television. We truly want to appreciate you for always keeping a date with us, where we tend to look at various stories that affect us. And remember, you're part of the change that we are all craving and all crying out for. So do not feel that it's only left to the government. You also have a part to play. Until we come your way again tomorrow, do have a blessed day ahead.